take a look at the World Cup draw that was made, that finally finished not so long ago, as it would stand. This is how things are looking at. Obviously, we'll be talking about the home nations, and that's where we will go first. But just a few that do really stand out. Group of death for many is Group I, with France, Senegal, Norway in there as well, and one of the playoff teams. So we're actually going to put together a potential quarter-final draw. This is how things could turn out if all the favourites do advance. You'd be looking at Spain against Belgium, France against Netherlands, Argentina taking on Portugal, and England against Brazil. I mean, that would be quite something in the quarterfinals, wouldn't it?
If it's really that, yes. But, I mean, it's too early to say. I mean, what about Norway in that matter? What about other teams? And we don't know. Brazil, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, according to what we have seen lately, I'm not sure they're going to reach the quarterfinal if they carry on like that.
Messi against Ronaldo, if that were to be the case. Argentina taking on.
Well, how many probations we'll have gotten through by that?
Yeah, there's a whole lot to happen for this to happen.
I mean, even most quarterfinals by that stage is, you know, it's mostly the best teams anyway.
Sure.
So, you know, that's the.
But there's always a surprise or two, and that clearly was no surprises in that permeation.
And then by that point, it's usually everybody behind that surprise team as well, because they've won everybody's hearts along the way. Maybe it could be the USA.
Maybe,
Kasey. Let's take a look at their group. In Group D, with Australia, Paraguay, and then one of the playoff teams from UEFA. It could be Turkey, it could be Romania, it could be Slovakia, it could be Kosovo.
Yeah, there's no question that it's not the worst draw you could possibly come into. I mean, now the part that makes it a little bit interesting is, let's say Turkey goes through in the playoff. That means in the last calendar year, the U.S. has played all these three teams in friendlies before the World Cup. So is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Have you learned something, or have they learned something from you?
They might not have learned anything from the USA because there's been so many changes.
Well, and those teams had done the same thing as well.
I honestly think this is a great.
That's a great draw.
It is a great draw.
I'm going to be the voice of positiveness.
Oh,
Never.
Come. What's wrong?
Is that a word?
Press record.
Yeah, it is now.
Positivity.
I think this is a great draw for the United States, the US men's national team. I really, really do. And I think we saw a little clip of Pochettino sitting with a kind, I'm going to say, a smug look on his face, because I think he knows it couldn't have got much better than that.
Right.
Now, that's on paper.
That's true.
That's on paper. But with that, the teams that they're probably going to get from the playoff and who we already know the US have is going to pile a pressure on to make sure the US, there's no slip-ups. Because there's nobody in that group at the moment that the US could say, well, the expectations are too high,
Right.
and, you know, we shouldn't be expected to beat these teams. That's not the case. So for the US, it is paramount that they have a successful group stage, because the draw has been very kind to them at this moment in time. And I would be very happy if I was a US player.
When I look, no, this is a situation that puts definite pressure on the U.S. team that they should go through, and not only go through, but go through.
I was going to say,
but go through in a better position, so the next round is easier.
That's the thing. They say, yeah, you should go through, but you should go through first, at least
second.
Second, because you have to think about what's going to follow, and who you're going to play against in the last 16. So that's very important. They have to finish first. If they are the favorite, they have to
remember,
finish
Frank,
first.
it's not the last 16. It's the last 32.
32.
So even more so, why you have to go back to that.
You can play the third of the group, and that's crucial.
Well, we were talking on yesterday's FC show about, as a player, you want the marquee games. You know, I was lucky enough, it was Scotland-Brazil at the World Cup. It was the opening ceremony.
I had Germany, I had Italy, I had some.
I mean, we couldn't warm up on the field before the game because the opening ceremony was taking place. It was all the razzmatazz, it was all the expectation, it was the world champions, it was marquee. Okay, that adds the pressure, but you want to play in the big games. We talked about this yesterday from a player's perspective. You want the marquee games. But Shaka Hislop was saying, well, you know, sometimes you maybe, particularly as a coach, you want an easier pathway. And I think it's safe to say here, the US, there's no real marquee games in that group. Obviously, the US, you know, being home country, there'll be big crowds. but there's no marquee game in that group. But there is definitely a pathway, unless the US team screw this up, to get to the next stage, and more importantly, to get to the next stage in a good position.
And I'm not mistaken, but I think if Turkey goes through and gets qualified, they're going to play United States at the end, the third game.
Yes.
So the easiest one. So it's better because you can get 6 points and you don't really care about the last game.
The order would be Paraguay, Australia,
and then the winner of the playoff.
That's even perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
final say on this.
I mean, yes, to Craig's point, I kind of fell in the middle of Craig and Chaka. Yes, it's nice to have a big game to kind of give you a gauge, but then points. I took it back from the last Qatar. So you had the big game against England. You scrap out a 0-0 draw, and then you go, okay, Wales, yeah, we should win something there. Iran, we should win something there. And that's exactly what they did to go through. So they had the big match, and then they had the games that they then were able to have to go through into the knockout stage.